guys, that's your command today, Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video. We're going to review every single epic champion and grade them in today's video. Please. It is a big task, but I'm going to try to do it rapid fire. I'm not going to read all the kits.
Or as I call it, the biggest lie ever told.
I feel like I say this every time I do videos like these. The last one that I did, grading every legendary in Raid Shadow Legends, I actually spoke for a few minutes about every legendary, and it ended up being a 6-hour video. A 6-hour video, man. The longest video I've ever released on the channel, on any of my channels. And man, 45,000 people watch this dang thing. Golly, maybe they just put it on when they went to sleep. Anyway, guys, I invite you to do the same in today's video. I'm going to try to keep it like an hour-ish. Man, one can dream. One can dream.
It would kill you not to be so funny all the time. That's all.
Anyway, there's a lot of epics to review, so let's go ahead and go through them all. There's actually a lot of new additions. I've never done, well, actually I have, but it's been like 2 years ago. I think it was a Hell Hades collab that we did all the epics reviewed, and we did half on my channel and half on his. Today, I'm just going to bust through them all solo. I have experience with almost every epic in the game and playing for about 5 years now, and I've done guides on many of them on my Raid Shadow Legends Champion Guides YouTube channel. However, ones that I'm absolutely not acquainted with, I have not built or used myself, I will point out as I go through this video. All right, so let's start out with Horden. And again, we're going to try to be pretty brief here. Let me know if you like me to be long-winded on these champions and read everything they do, or if you like today's format. I would really value your feedback. All right, so Horden is bad. Not worth your time, not worth your investment. Single target stuff, self-buffing, but single target. Who cares? Decent, I guess, for not even decent for faction wars. Who am I kidding? I give him an F. Lordly Legionary, I give him a D. He's supposed to be a Fire Knight champion. He does have a chance of hitting like 4 times on his A1 with the heal reduction, which is definitely useful. He does have another single target with decreased speed and some reflect. But he's niche, but he's not amazing. He's good for Fire Knight progression. He is a daily login reward champion, though. I'll give him a D. Archmage Helmet, the first Doom Tower normal champion that you get. He has 3 great buffs on a 3-turn cooldown. He has a stun on an AoE. He's immune to turn meter, decreasing effects. He has great base stats. I'll give him an A. Gerard the Stone. He's very, very niche. He has an underwhelming A2, an underwhelming A1. Well, he has some stun, I guess. It's not that bad. But really, his claim to fame, actually, screw it. He sucks. We'll give him a D. Arndolf is a defense-based Bannerlord epic. Actually, a decent champion here, finally. He has a provoke on his A1. On his A3, he brings a reflect damage and a counterattack, so he can place more provokes with his A1. He's tanky because he's defense-based. And my favorite part is he has an AoE 3-turn cooldown, 100% big version of Weaken, right, when booked. So he brings a very valuable debuff on an AoE on a 3-turn with some fear for crowd control and more CC with a provoke. I'll give him a B+. Oathbound, another defensive-based epic here who has a lot of good control as well. He has a decreased attack for damage mitigation. He's decreasing turn meter, and then he's placing a block active skills. It's not AoE, it's an AoE on the A2, excuse me, but a 4-time at random. But man, he can dish out some damage on top of that, especially for a defensive-based champion. I use him a lot in Cintranos, so he's grown on me. I'll give him a B+. Chancellor Yasmin,
that was cute. I liked that. I like that.
What could be? She has a 2-turn cooldown. It's a really nice single target heal. Heals by 60% if the ally has less than 50% HP. Again, for a 2-turn cooldown, not bad. And then this lulling chant, you're removing buffs, but it's only a 75% chance of removing. It's on a 4-turn cooldown. You place a sleep if they're not removed. It's too conditional to me. Her speed in all battles aura and her base stats are pretty nice. She is fast, but she's just missing. She needs a buff, in my opinion. This needs to come down 1 turn, or just make it so their sleep is on everybody, right? It'd be a nice control ability. I'll give her a C-, maybe a D+. Seneschal, not a trash champion. He has a leech on his A1. He has a perfect veil and a continuous heal on an ally on a 2-turn cooldown. It's nice to be able to put that perfect veil for 2 turns on a 2-turn cooldown. It's really solid on one ally. Basically, perma protect them. He also brings a counterattack and a provoke on all enemies. Counterattack is a 100%, obviously, and look at all these books. 100% provoke on all enemies on a 4-turn cooldown, but he's placing more leeches because of the counterattack. Not a bad little progression champion. I'll give him a B-. Alaric the Hooded. He has single target stuff. He's removing buffs. An AoE on the A3 with a decreased attack and decreased accuracy. It is a 4-turn cooldown though. Doesn't do a ton of damage despite the pretty robust base attack for an epic. Anything, 1450 or higher, especially 1500 or higher for an epic, is a nice base attack. Of course, it does depend on their multipliers as well. 2 pretty good debuffs though. I will give him that. It's a shame they're on a 4-turn, but they are 100%. I'll give him a B-. Lady Quillen is a single target, turn meter fill of allies, 30% if the attack kills an enemy. I hate that. She has an AoE increased crit damage and an increased attack if the attack is critical. It's 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. You can do a lot better pretty early into the game, and that's the problem. Like a champion like Mithrala, for example, she power crept like 1 billion epics in the game. Now, I mean, sure, you're gonna have need for faction war champions and stuff like that, so there's no utility, forgive the double negative, you can get out of a champion like Lady Quillen, and she hits decently hard too, but I feel like you outgrow her very fast, and that's going to be the same for a lot of the champions that we talk about today. I'll give her an A, I'll give her a C. Sir Artemage, the dude who just like huffs and puffs, man. This guy, like, well, I guess you're gonna have a breathing problem. I don't see any air holes at all in this damn thing,
Oxygen! I need some oxygen!
He's an attack-based champion, doesn't do a lot of damage. He does have an AoE on a 3-turn cooldown and ignore defense ability. The problem is the lack of damage from a champion who should just be a robust damage dealer. The good news is he does self-buff, but the bad news is he has to kill the enemy. I'll give Sir Artemage a... oh god, C-. Knight Errant. Knight Errant used to be one of the most used champions out there because his death warrant hits really hard. It is a 6-turn cooldown. You can't book it down anymore. It places a weaken and then damage increased by 75%. This champion has full HP. It can deal a lot of damage, but it's a 6-turn cooldown. He's an F. He's super squishy. He used to be cool, like back in 2019. Now he is not worth touching, in my opinion. F. Stag Knight, S tier, our first S tier champion on the list. He has an AoE decreased defense and decreased attack and a decreased speed, a little increased accuracy mechanic, and amazing great stats. He's my favorite Bannerlord epic in the game. Maxed Fearmonger, man, he was the Halloween champion like 2-3 years back. Really cool aesthetics. I always say like they got the definite Jason vibes going on, but it doesn't make a lot of sense, right? He brings fear and decreased speed on a single target, but like fear is a PvP element or a wave element. You don't want it on a single target necessarily. Decreased speed is more against bosses, but you can't fear them. His kit needs something else. It needs an AoE, or it needs a lot more damage or some more utility. I'll give him a D. Gizcard, the Sigiled. I actually give Gizcard an A-. Really solid champion. He has an AoE provoke 75%, but it's a 3-turn cooldown, not bad. And then he has the increased defense and increased attack on the same ability on a 3-turn cooldown, right? So really nice to get that outside of Mithrala. There's not a lot of champions that have both of those buffs, essential buffs, on a 3-turn cooldown. Fills champions turn meter by 15% whenever they're attacked by an enemy under provoke or an increased attack, which happens quite a bit. I think he's a really solid buffer and control tanky champion. Good base stats too in terms of the defense. Ulfrig. Oh, Ulfrig. Despite his basic design, I really like this champion. He has a decreased attack on his A1. He has an AoE, stealing a random buff from each enemy, and a continuous heal, big version on all allies. This is all on a 3-turn cooldown. This ability is great for waves, great for keeping your team healed. He also has a turn meter fill and an increased attack on all allies on a 4-turn cooldown. He has a decreased attack, removes decreased attack debuffs from all allies at the start of his turn. So he's protecting you from decreased attack, which is nice. More damage out of your damage dealers. He's stealing buffs. He's healing your team. He's turn meter filling your team. He's buffing your team. Really solid champion. Has a speed in all battles aura. That means you can use him in Centranos for content. I'll give him a B+. A lot better than people think he is. Lady Annabelle can solo Bommel. She gets an A. just for that alone, because Bommel's the hardest. If you don't have Lady Annabelle, right, or a Nishak type team, you're going to really struggle against Bommel, right? One of the hardest Doom Tower bosses, if not the hardest, in my opinion at least. The Red Lady heals this enemy by 50% of max HP whenever an ally or enemy dies. Those little bombs that Bommel summons count as enemies. She's going to be healing herself up, and you can just kind of death through 1,000 paper cuts with Lady Annabelle, right? You can take down Bommel all by herself, but she does bring an AoE leech and an AoE decreased speed on a 3-turn cooldown. The decreased speed is conditional, but still, it's a really nice ability. On top of all that, she brings increased speed. It's on a 4-turn cooldown, but it's a nice swap survival skill. So she brings a lot to the table. I'll give her an A. All right, Rowan. Man, they're giving Rowan like 100 buffs, and she's still not that good. 3-time at random, a 4-time poison, good for Fire Knight, but a single target on the A1. It's kind of a bummer. She does have heal reduction, decent at Fire Knight, decent at Clan Boss, but that's about it. I'll give her a C+. Azure has an ally protection, but it's on a 4-turn cooldown. It's really not ideal. He brings a shield on himself, and then he brings a stun single target with turn meter steal. The turn meter steal is really pivotal here because it helps him get back to the ally protect faster, which you really want. Good kind of progression, ally protector, but I don't think really worth 6 stars nowadays. Personally, on Azure, I'll give him a C+. Warcaster. Man, Warcaster's used less because block damage, unkillable comps are not really that in vogue compared to where they were. I'm sure a lot of people still use Warcaster in Clan Boss, but even outside of Clan Boss, he's not a bad champion. He brings block damage on all allies on a 4-turn cooldown, and then he has a block buffs on all enemies, 75% on a 3-turn cooldown. It's definitely solid for some control on your team. He's tanky, 20k HP, and a little survivability for everybody. He is, obviously great on unkillable comps in Clan Boss, so I'll give Warcaster a B. Ursula, the Mourner, I'll give her an S tier. Only because she has arguably the best revive in the entire game of Raid Shadow Legends. And I'm not being hyperbolic. You tell me an AoE revive that's better than this. A 75% HP, 50% turn meter, increased defense, and a strengthen for 3 turns. That's really freaking good. It's really good. And then she brings a decreased attack and an increased attack as well. You can use this even without a revive on a 5-turn cooldown. Speed in Doom Tower battles. Really, really good reviver. She does taper off a little bit in the end game, but still, she's an exceptionally good rare. She's void affinity, or excuse me, rare. I wish she was a rare. She's an exceptionally good epic that really has, again, one of the strongest survivability revivals in the game. All right, not too bad. 10 minutes? Okay. We're not really on pace, but I feel like we're moving, but we're still like commenting quite a bit on the champions at the same time, which is what we want to do. Royal Guard. I think that Royal Guard is still I think he's still S tier, decreased defense. He has an AoE, enemy max HP ability, takedown. It's great for Spider, great for any boss, basically. Good for Hydra. He's exceptionally good for Fire Knight because he's a 4-time hitter with a decreased speed and turn meter decrease. Very, very good Fire Knight normal. Yeah, Royal Guard, maybe S minus. A+, somewhere in that territory. Tyrell, an old school champion, but he's still pretty dang good. He does have an AoE decreased defense. It is on a 4-turn cooldown. That's the big bummer of Tyrell. It used to be not that big of a deal, but now there's a lot more options in the game that have it on the 3-turn cooldown. He does have a decreased attack, he doesn't have that. If they're under a decreased attack, he'll place a sleep on them. And then on the A3, he has a pretty good control ability, decreasing turn meter by 50%. And a stun if it's fully depleted. So nice control, nice aura, defense in all battles. I'll give him an A+. Skaramis, I say Skaramis is S tier. He is one of the best new epics, not new, the last year or two epics that have been released in the game. He has an AoE provoke on a 3-turn cooldown, 100% land rate. He brings a counterattack and a continuous heal on himself. The counterattack lets him go into the A1, land more stuns, stealing turn meter. He has an AoE on the A2, where he's decreasing the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn. He's placing a decreased attack, and he's filling his turn meter by 10% for each buff that has his duration decreased, which oftentimes gets him a full turn meter or close to. So a lot of turns, almost, one of the better provokers, maybe the best provoker out of all epics in my opinion out there. And on top of all of that, he can dish out some serious damage for an HP based epic champion. So I really love the multipliers and how fast he can get back to that A2 ability. And Dahlia is not super trash. She has an AoE decrease attack on a 3-turn cooldown. That's basically it. She has a counterattack mechanic that brings her into some more provokes. Good base stats. I'll give her a B-. Fenisil, power creep at its fullest. An increased defense and a heal. It's a really good ability. The rest of his kit really sucks. His base speed is pretty good. An AoE, decreased duration of enemy buffs by 1 turn on a 5-turn cooldown. Doesn't do any damage at all. Fenisil, but this is still a solid ability, right? I'll give him a C+. If you're looking for an increased defense champion, he can help you out. Luthia, I apologize for all the names I'm going to butcher in today's video, guys. A triple hitter with freeze and AoE decreased speed on a 4-turn. Meh. Not total trash, but just nothing that great really either. I'll give her a C-. Ilisenia? Yeah? No?
Forget it. Forget it!
HP-based champion. She has a lot of HP. She has an AoE with a chance of removing block debuffs and then placing block buffs on the same ability. It's pretty cool, pretty handy, kind of like in arena niche situations or when you know you're going to be going against block debuffs. Otherwise, you know, she brings a shield, she brings a strengthen. It's a 4-turn cooldown. It's the weak version of strengthen, but still decent survivability for faction wars, even some progression outside of that. I'll give her a B-. Not as trashy as I thought she was going to be. Ambassador Lethalin, he has a very unique ability here. Place a taunt on an ally for 2 turns and a reflect damage on all allies. It's not necessarily a game changer, and even though it sounds cool, you know, Phantom Shogun definitely can provide utility there. But outside of that, I don't know. He has a heal, a little bit of a cleanse there too. I don't think he's as trashy as some people think, but he hasn't really found a home in the game either. So I'll give him a C. I'll give him a C. Neldor Rhineblade. Now this is a champion here. He's got a triple hitter with freeze. He's got a quad hitter with decreased attack. He's got an AoE ×2 on a 4-turn cooldown with decreased speed and a heal. Exceptionally good for Fire Knight. Obviously, Fire Knight hard, which we need more accessible champions for Fire Knight hard. The hardest hard dungeon in the game. Neldor gets an A. Vergis is a pretty dang good champion. He used to be trash, and now he has this great second wind passive. It keeps him alive, does a great job in doing so. He brings a continuous heal, increased speed, and a reflect damage on one ally, and then an ally protection on all the rest of the allies, and then an increased defense on himself, all on 3-turn cooldown. He's a really good protector. He can solo some content as well. So yeah, I'll give Vergis a B+. That was an example of a really good buff that Plarium has done over the years. Marksman, kind of trash. 4-time at random. It can deal a little bit of damage, but that's it. You know, single target or random hits, and that's it in the guy's kit. I'm going to give him a D. Jingle Hunter. He has an AoE with a little bit of turn meter fill, and then he has a single target freeze. Yeah, I'm going to give him a C-. Battle Sage has a cleanse and increase attack. Really nice ability here, especially if you don't have a cardio or a more elite cleanser for your team. Really solid to have the increase attack and the cleanse on all allies. A revive on death on one ally. Not that great of an ability. Speed in all battles by 19, solid there. She's a all right, but very kind of niche Void epic champion. Doesn't really fill the title of Void, in my opinion. I'll give her a C+, maybe a B-. Andrycia. Talk about an underrated Void. She's very good. She has a 2-turn stun if they have no buffs, right? Really solid. Even a 1-turn stun is not that bad. Negate one of the opponents. She has an AoE, decreased duration of all enemy buffs by 2 turns. That's polymorph proof, which is really nice on a 3-turn cooldown. And then she has a little mini Necret the Great here. At the start of her turn, she's going to place an ally protection on the ally with the lowest max HP. A strengthen and increased defense on herself at the same time. Again, like a solid champion, has some control, has a decent AoE. I'll give her a B. Ethlin the Golden, or Ethlin the Golden. He has an AoE ×2 4-turn cooldown with a block active skills, great control. He's Void Affinity, and he deals a decent amount of damage. He has a self-buffing ability too. Increased crit damage, increased accuracy, really lowers the requirements when you want to build this guy, so you can just go all-out damage. And then he's ignoring defense against support, defense, and HP-based champions, basically the tankier champion. So a good damage dealer. I'll give him a B-. A little one-dimensional, but great damage. Sacred Order time. There's a lot of them. Canoness. She got a pretty good buff, actually. Good for progression. Check out this A2. Really good. Actually, check out the A3, rather. Really good ability here. 2-turn cooldown. Ally protection on one target. Increased defense on the same target. And this champion, right? And a continuous heal on everybody. So she has a big version continuous heal on all allies on a 2-turn cooldown. That's really good. And then the ally protection and the increased defense on herself and the ally as well, and the ally protection. She brings decreased accuracy and a leech. Good for like clan boss. Good for progression. She's not gonna, change her account or anything like that, but not a bad champion now. I'll give her a B. Adriel, bad champion. She has a heal and a reflect damage, and then she has an AoE decreased attack, but it's only at 50%, and it's on a 5-turn cooldown. She does bring speed in all and magic ally. I was like, no. Magic ally. Ugh. Yeah, man. I'm not feeling her. I'll give her a D. Hope. Not too bad. She has an increased duration of all buffs. You can use her on like a Wixwell team, for example. It's a really nice ability with a nice shield too, based on this champion's max HP, which scales really well at 21k. She also has a chance of removing buffs on a 3-turn cooldown. Really solid champion. I'm gonna give her a B-. Frostbringer, who doesn't bring the frickin' frost. Great base stats, can't take that away from her. 3-time at random, just make it an AoE. Increased speed, increased attack on a 4-turn. Listen, I give her a lot of shade because there's no freeze on Frostbringer, but her kit is 1 buff away from being like really solid. It's hard to grade her. I'll give her a C-. There's still good buffs to have. The cooldowns are a little bit long. Talia can deal a little bit of damage. I think she's a bit one-dimensional. She has a weaken, a weaken, but it's a 5-turn cooldown. That's the bummer on Talia. I wish it was a shorter cooldown on that A3. She does have a nice AoE on a 3-turn cooldown with a self-buffing ability. Can deal some damage, like I said, and a triple hitter. So I would say Fire Knight wave content. I'm gonna give her a B-. Juliana, I made the mistake of throwing shade at Juliana. She's not as bad as I thought. Yeah. She's not a game changer, though. She requires a lot of books. She does have an HP burn and a remove buffs from the target. Great for clan boss, obviously. She also has a poison. Great for clan boss, obviously. That poison can be placed on both hits. I didn't know that, so she's actually solid poison damage dealer now that they reduced the cooldown on her last buff to 3 turns. So overall, I'll give her a C+, B-. Sanguinia. Good cleanser, great base stats. She's got a 4-turn cleanse, and she's transferring all debuffs from this champion to the target at the same time. That's really nice. She has block debuffs and a continuous heal. A 3-turn cooldown, great ability. However, the block debuffs only is for 1 turn. The continuous heals for 2 turn. But I'm kind of nitpicking here. She's a really, really solid support champion. Good for progression, good for faction wars, areas like that, anywhere you need to cleanse, although it is a 4-turn cooldown. I'll give her a B. Aothar, still a competent poison damage dealer, right? He has 4 poisons on a 3-turn cooldown. Still one of the best poisoners out of every epic in the game. He is very squishy and very slow, can deal some decent damage on top of that. Back in the day, this guy was the poisoner for clan boss. He's fallen off, been power crept quite a bit, but he can still serve that utility just fine. I'll give him a C+. Relic Keeper F. He's very, very one-dimensional. He hits and gets an extra turn with his A1, and he self-buffs. He sucks. F. Missionary. He sucks. Single target chance of provoking, decreased a turn meter by 50% on a 3-turn cooldown, heal reduction, decreased speed. Okay, I mean, it's not enough with a single hitter on the A1 to get me excited about anything. Do not invest. I'll give him a D.
Ask them. Let them decide.
Romero's not bad. This A2, this continuous heal on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown with a steal a buff from every enemy is kind of interesting, especially if you're going to be going against enemies with a lot of buffs. He also has a shield and an increased defense on himself. Shield on everybody. It's based on their max HP, not his, and it is on a 4-turn cooldown. He also is a companion with Juliana. Can be a decent ability, a triple hitter if Juliana's on the same team. But otherwise, I think he's okay for progression in Faction Wars. Not a lot of utility outside of that. Again, unless you know you're going to go against a ton of buffs. I'll give him a C+. Lady Atessa got a buff and it wasn't enough. She's now attacking one enemy. She's an ally attacker, but she's one of the most underwhelming ally attackers, excluding rares in the game. Just a 3 ally attack, her and 2 allies. She's joining in with a pretty underwhelming A1 as well. She does bring a stun, but it requires 100 books to get it done. I'm going to give her a D. She's really not worth investing in my opinion. Mordecai is still a great HP burner, one of the top epic burners in the game. Great for Spider. He's bringing the burn on a 4-turn cooldown and increase attack on all allies for 3 turns, and then he has turn meter fill and turn meter decrease as well. He's meant for Spider, but he can deal some damage outside of Spider as well, just kind of wave content in general. It's nice that he brings an essential buff and the increased attack on the turn meter fill. I'll give him a B+. Bushy. Ugh. Bushy is an easy F. Do not invest. Single target, nothing, right? Fenax, endgame especially, Fenax is close to F tier. What? S tier, excuse me. I don't know, maybe it's the F in the name. Great debuffer for bosses, decreased defense and decreased speed. It is on a 4-turn cooldown, which, would rather be 3, but he has an AoE block out with block buffs, 80% chance on a 4-turn cooldown, does a decent amount of damage, and he is one of the hardest hitting A1s in the game. So you pair him with an ally attacker, a Fat Man, a Lady Mikage, whoever you have on your account, a Lady Atessa, and you can, put down your enemy, right? Very, very hard hitting A1, not just in the arena for the block revival, but also on decapitated Hydra heads, hits for millions of damage. He's really, really solid. I'll give him an A+. Deke, one of the best, this is the power square right here. We said on Papa Drak and I, 4 of the best epics in the game in this little square right here. Deacon Armstrong brings the decreased defense on an AoE. He brings the turn meter increase decrease, but the extra turn allows him to get back to the A2. He also brings the A1 with a leech, and he has speed in all battles by 19%. One of the better debuffers and I guess turn meter manipulators out there for epics. Just his whole kit makes a lot of sense. Super, super good. He's almost one of those champions you put on your team, and he's even better than you expected. Like the results they speak for themselves. I'll give him an S tier. Mistress of Hymns, super, super underwhelming reviver. She has a continuous heal on the 2 allies with the lowest HP if the attack is critical. Are you serious? And then a 2 random revival on a 5-turn. Ugh. She used to be actually solid back in the day when there weren't many revivers in the game. Now there are a dime a dozen. You have champions like Ursula for, no comparison. Champions like Godseeker and many non-voids as well. I'll give her a D. Lodric Falconheart, he has a shield on a 2-turn cooldown when booked. Really good for Scarab King. Outside of that, not very good. So we'll give him a niche C-. Anchorite, very good. He has an AoE on his A1. He has a cleanse, a little mini cleanse, and increase the duration of all ally buffs. Perfect for a Wixwell pairing. I use him on my main clan boss team. He also fully heals a target ally with an increased crit rate, increased crit damage on all allies on a 4-turn cooldown. Simple kit, HP in all battles by 25%, solid aura. Simple kit, but very effective. You can use him in a stun set. You can use him as a buff extender. You can use him as a healer. I'll give him a B+. Carlinia, or as I like to say, Candlehead. She is a support champion. She's an AoE decrease attack on a 3-turn cooldown. Can't be resisted by targets under burn. She brings the burn on the A1 as well. She has decreased duration of all buffs, debuffs on all allies. Then places the strengthen that's protected on a 4-turn. It's a weak version, but it's nice to have. She's good every time an enemy with an HP burn gets a turn. Decreased duration of 2 random buffs on the enemy for 1 turn. Nice. It's solid. It can strip away, obviously, increase attack or whatever from, clan boss or dragon or whatever you're going against. She's a pretty solid and underrated, I would say, progression support, but certainly not like a game changer in my opinion. I'll give her a B-. Cardinal. Well, She has a good cleanse, or excuse me, a good heal and an increased defense on the A2. It is single target though. I say good, it's all right. It's all right. It's all about redemption, right? It's the boost turn meter to max, guaranteeing that they're going to get a turn immediately. She's the only reviver in the game that has this ability that basically, even with 100% turn meter, the enemies, if they were next in line already, they're still going to go first. They could kill everybody. Not with Cardinal. When she revives, everybody goes immediately, which you can do some crazy things with, right? Outside of that, she's very, very niche. But I don't know. I'll give her a B. Just for that crazy revive. Lightsworn has been power crept a bit over the years. He does bring an increased defense and a revive on death on a 4-turn cooldown. There were some kind of unkillable revive on death comms based around him back in the day. He can be a decent defense and kind of support for faction wars, areas like that, and progression. But as I said, I really think Fire Knight as well. He has turn meter decrease, and for Fire Knight progression, he's tanky. I'll give him a C+. I do think he's fallen off a little bit personally. Inquisitor Shamil has 100% ignore defense on a 3-turn cooldown, and his claim to fame is he's going to be cleansing off those true fears, boosting turn meters as well. He's SSS tier for Hydra. Outside of that, a little bit niche, so I'll give him an overall score of A+. Godseeker Aniri. One of the most unique revivers out there in the game. She has a great heal. She's increasing durations on the A2. She has a great revive, and resetting the cooldown of all their skills. Only her and Cora have a revive like that. And then she has another revive, essentially, the preemptive revive on death before a fatal hit. Very good. Increased healing on top of that. She's S tier. She's S tier. All right, Barbarian time. Aina. Ugh. F. She's one of the squishiest champions out there with 760 base defense. She's got a single target weaken. She's got another single target crap. Moving on. Jotun, F. Another F. He's got a single target burn. It is a 4-turn burn, which I guess is pretty cool, but that's it. It's a single target burn, and that's Jotun. 2 Fs in a row. Sakara is not an F. She has Enfeebling Tips as an AoE weaken. It's a 4-turn cooldown, but it's not a bad ability at 80%, 85 with Sniper. And then she has an AoE ×3 removing buffs on a 4-turn. So 2 strong AoE attacks, both on a 4-turn cooldown, both bringing something to the table. Problem is, not a ton of damage out of Sakara, right? Her base attack is 804. I do think she deserves a buff. I'd like to see these on 3-turn cooldowns. It wouldn't make her OP or anything like that, but it'd make her more usable. I'll give her a C-. Atter. He has a provoke, and then he has a provoke. He's kind of like the war chief of epics. He's a pretty dependable provoker for areas like Magma Dragon, and that's about it. He's Kalia's boyfriend too. I'll give him a C-, maybe a D. Arima.
Are you blind?
Armina.
I like Arima. She's very squishy too. 683 defense. Dang, Arima. Come on, man.
Why did you call me?
An AoE decreased defense and a little bit of turn meter steal, which is really nice on a 3-turn cooldown. It's 100% decreased defense as well, so a great debuffer. And then decreased turn meters all enemies by 20% and a stun on enemies who have their turn meters fully depleted on a 3-turn cooldown. It's really not a bad ability, and then fills her turn meter every time someone receives a stun. So, hey, not a lot of damage from her, but the turn meter fill on the passive, the turn meter fill on the A2, or the turn meter steal on the A2, being a competent debuffer and a control champion. I think she's underrated. I'll give her a B. Alika. Everybody's favorite champion. I think it's Scratch. He loves Alika. He's done like 15 videos on her. Anytime he's like, this epic changed my account, I already know it's going to be Alika. I already know before I even click. She has the lockout. 100% chance when booked of increasing the cooldown of all enemy skills by 2 turns. That's kind of like Basher's ability, right? A miniature version of a Warlord or Yumeko. A lockout champion. Then she's a high value target, ignoring 50% defense on a 2-turn cooldown. Great nukes, great lockout. I'll give her an A-. Tashada got a rework very recently. She brings speed and faction crypts, a 3-time hitter with weaken, and a revive, and healing all allies on a 3-turn cooldown. She's not a great reviver. She used to not be a reviver at all. Or did she have a conditional revive? I forgot. Either way, it's nice to have that reviver for faction wars. So for that alone, I'll give her like a B-, I guess, or C+. She's not going to be a reviver that you're going to get a lot of utility outside of progression and faction wars, in my opinion. Kalia also got a buff, Now we have a 3-turn cooldown with an AoE heal reduction, and we also have a 4-turn cooldown with a 3 random burner. She's still not my favorite champion. She has one of the highest attacks out of any epic champion at 1597 and decent multipliers. So she can deal some damage and bring the heal reduction. She's not worthless anymore like she used to be, but she's still, I don't know, maybe I can't kick the old vibes of Kalia. I'll give her a C minus. Maeve has a Deny Revival 3-turn cooldown and stay down that hits decently hard, but she's a single target champion. She's not that enticing. I'll give her a D+. Baroth the Blood Soaked. A lot of people hate this guy. I'm not one of them, actually. He's a single target champion, so that's underwhelming, but he's very tanky. You can put him in a shield or a bolster set, and he's healing. He's shielding your all allies, even though it's single target on the enemy. A shield based on the damage it inflicted on all allies. Second hit heals all allies. On this ability, we're placing a decreased defense and an increase in removing increased defense. We're placing a increased attack or removing increased attack, excuse me. Basically, he's a competent single target debuffer and a little support for your team. Man, it's way too long talking about Baroth the Blood Soaked, I'll tell you guys. I've used him in some niche areas like HP only secret rooms and stuff like that. I'll give him a C+. Jamarsa. Sorry, guys. Jamarsa I don't have because I ain't got no friends. Man, I don't have Jamarsa and I don't have Chronum. I got to find a way to do this. Any of you guys want to team up with me? I said that before, and then people have reached out, and then I haven't gotten back to them in the comments, so I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it, but I need to figure out a way to get these champions. She's a mediocre revive here, but the phasing is a really cool passive. Whenever an ally uses an active skill, has a 20% chance of decreasing the cooldown of that skill by 1 turn. It is on a 1-turn cooldown as well. Not bad. Not amazing, though. I'll give her a B. Woad Painted went from being one of the worst champions in the game to being very one-dimensional. She's a single target block, active skills, whatever. But basically, she has an extra turn ability on a 4-turn cooldown that ends up being one of the more significant heals out there in the game. She's just raw healage. So a bit, like I said, one-dimensional, but if you need healing, look no further. I'll give her a, I don't know, a B-. Haikatoon. She still got it. A turn meter fill and an increased speed on a 3-turn cooldown. That is basically the standard, the apothecary, if you will, of a speed turn meter booster, right? She also has some decreased turn meter on all enemies. I still think she's worth most players to invest in when you get her for free after day 30. She has speed in all battles on top of that. Good base stats. I'll give her an A-. Vala. Vala is a defense-based champion. She was a Amazon Prime champion way back in the day. She's all right. She has a shield, increased defense on herself. She deals some damage too, and she's removing shields from enemies, attacking them, and has a chance of placing decreased defense. The bummer is it's a 50% chance, but she is an AoE decreased defense-based champion. Those things are very hard to find. So I would love the chance to be up towards like 75% or higher on Crush the Wall, but you're looking at some damage from a tanky debuffer, I guess. I'll give her a C+. Fat Man, I know he's the best ally attacker out of every epic in the game. He also brings a nice burn and a poison on the A2 for use against bosses. And yeah, I mean, just really, really solid. 3 allies will not join him. He will not attack, but a great ally attack nonetheless. Great for blender comps as well. Brings 2 damage dealing buffs to the table as well. We'll give him an A+. Hoskarul, defense-based champion who has an AoE stun on a 3-turn cooldown, 75% stun and turn meter depletion. Really solid. He has an increased defense and increased resistance on all allies at the same time on a 4-turn cooldown. Defense and faction crypts. Great for faction wars. Great for progression, stunning, even in the arena in the early game. I'll give him a B. Harkin Greatblade. She has a hard-hitting A1 and not much else.
Do you even have that?
Very hard-hitting A1, extra attack if it's critical, so you get 2 attacks on that A1 ability. She has a weaken before attacking, which is nice, and a debuff spread. She's not my favorite champion. She's pretty squishy. She's pretty slow. I think she needs a buff. I'll give her a D. So why Firstborn has an AoE decrease attack on a 3-turn cooldown, 100% land rate, and a weaken before attacking on a 3-turn cooldown. Great debuffer against bosses, against wave content. She has decreased defense on her A1 as well. Great for like clan boss. You know, that's her best rating. Other than that, a little bit one-dimensional, right? Other than that, so I'll give her a C-. Sky Touch Shaman. Great A2 ability. It's a little mini cardio. You get block debuffs and a revive on death, both for 2 turns and a full cleanse on a 4-turn cooldown. She also can be one of the better healers in the game with an AoE heal on the A1. Just got to be careful because she'll also decrease speed and lock herself out with fear off of that passive. HP in all battles on top of that. Very, very unique epic champion. I'll give her a B-. Ogryn Tribe. Grimskin, defense-based damage dealer. He has an AoE, chance of removing a random buff from a target on a 4-turn cooldown. It does hit pretty hard, but he's pretty one-dimensional after that. He has a provoke on a single target, or a chance at a provoke on a single target, and a decreased speed, chance on the A1. I'll give him a C+. Ugo, S tier. AoE decreased defense and block buffs, amazing for Hydra, but there's more than that. She also has a leech on the A1. She has a cleanse and a great heal based on her HP on a 4-turn cooldown. The cleanse with the just broken A2 makes her one of the most desired epic champions in the game as a debuffer and a support, all baked up into one. Next up is Claude Beast Feeder. I'll give Claude a B. You get an increased speed and an increased accuracy, big versions on a 3-turn cooldown, super solid, a shield on all allies on the A2, and a little bit of a heal, on the delicious giblets on the passive. Siege Hulk. Oh, I love the big fella. I love him. An AoE decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown, self-buffing, and a lot of damage. I'll give him a B+. He's very squishy, but a lot of damage there. Lorne the Cutter. I love me some Lorne the Cutter, guys. This guy's really good, super underrated. 100% turn meter decrease, and then an AoE leech and a heal reduction. He has a triple hitter on the A1, great for Fire Knight, great for wave content, can deal a lot of damage as well. Great damage dealer. What did I give him? Did I give him let's give him a B+. Skull Crusher. Has an ally protect and a counterattack. He's still got it. He's still got it, man. Very basic kit. But if you're looking for a counterattack champion, there's only 4 of them in the game, so he's one of them. I'll give him a B. Shatterbones has an AoE ×3 with turn meter reduction. Not a bad ability, not a bad CC ability. Has a weak version of decreased speed. I wish it was the big version, or if they brought that cooldown down a bit. Can deal a little bit of damage too. He's not a one-dimensional damage dealer because he does bring that control. I'll give him a C+. Grunch Killjoy, an AoE with a bomb after 1 turn. It's not 100% bomb though, and it's a 4-turn cooldown. He does have a cleanse and a continuous heal, and he has a turn meter fill of allies whenever a bomb goes off. He's not the worst bomb champion out there. He's not the best in my opinion, but I do love the 1-turn detonation. But man, all those books, it's hard to justify booking him out. If you need a cleanser, there's other options out there as well. He does have the continuous heal for each debuff removed, which is nice. All right, I'm hemming and hawing here. I'll give him a B-. Maybe that's a little bit high, but I love that he has the cleanse with the bomb. C's can actually deal a decent amount of damage. He has a triple hitter on his A2, and then he has an AoE where he brings his increased crit damage as well. You get him, I think, after like 800 days. You're not going to be throwing a parade for this guy when you get him after 800 days for free or whatever. He is stealing turn meter from the enemy, the highest turn meter at the end of his a turn that can't be resisted, which is a nice little add-on. I'll give him a B-. Old Gruckus. He is going to be an AoE decrease attack and heal reduction champion, and then a decreased speed on a single target with turn meter decrease as well. I don't know. If you need an AoE decrease attack and a heal reduction, I guess he's your guy, right? He brings speed in dungeons, which is really nice on the aura. I'll give him a C+. Galkut. AoE 1x1 in order, actually does a lot of damage, and then an AoE bomb, 2-turn detonation, not ideal. Can deal some damage with the 1x1 in order on the brutal battering. I'll give him masteries like blast proof obviously will not work against this because it's not technically an AoE because it's 1x1 in random order. I'll give him a C. Cage Breaker has a 4-time at random sleep and has an AoE with an extra turn if you kill an enemy. Doesn't deal enough damage in my opinion, even despite that big number. I'm going to give him a D+. Occult Brawler, still probably the best damage dealer in terms of sheer damage based on poisons out of every epic in the game, you know, for like clan boss specifically. Very niche, not used nearly as much as he used to be. I'll give him he's a tough one to grade. I'll give him a C+. Grudge the Mangler is a daily login reward champion. He has 2 AoEs, defense-based, bringing a lot of healing. He's bringing damage mitigation as well. I really like this guy. He's slow, but he has a leech as well. Just a lot of heals with the 2 continuous heals and the 2 AoEs. I'll give him a B+. Wuzgar. He's kind of like a Fire Knight specialist, right? He has a heal and a counterattack on himself, and he has a 4-time hitter on his A1, right? Good support champion, super tanky, but a little bit one-dimensional, I would say. I'll give him a B-. Man-Eater. Great kit, even if you're running, you know, double Man-Eater, unkillable teams, or if you're just using him for progression. He has a decreased attack on all enemies, provided as critical. He has a turn meter steal of 100% on a 3-turn cooldown. Man, I'm going to give him A+, maybe even S. Towering Titan. A lot of HP, 4-time at random provoke, and increased defense on a 4-turn cooldown. Not worthless, but he's not going to excel in any area. He's underwhelming to me as a void. I'm going to give him a C-. Skrank is my favorite HP burner in the game for epics. An AoE HP burn on 3-turn cooldown. Turn meter fill in addition to that. Just really good. Being void, being a 3-turn cooldown on the AoE instead of a 4 like a Mordecai. He takes the cake just by a smidgen. He also has a little bit better damage, and it can escalate as well every time a burn triggers on an enemy. I'll give him an A+. Prundar has the big version of Strengthen and a continuous heal on a 4-turn cooldown. Really good support ability here. And then he has an AoE Provoke. You can book it out to get that up to a 75% chance. It is on a 3-turn cooldown with an increased defense on himself. He actually has a really solid kit for a Provoker. It's not enough to depend on as your main Provoker in like Hydra, obviously, especially being at 75%, but a really solid kind of progression kit on Prundar. Defense and Doom Tower battles, man, a little niche there. I'll give him a B+. Ogryn. Love me some Ogryn. Speed in all battles on the aura, fantastic. He has poisons, he has continuous heals, he has a great cleanse and heal on his A2 and poisons on the A1. Did I mention the speed in all battles? I'll give him an A+. I think he's very, very good still. All right, moving on to Lizardmen. Jerang. Jerang has a stun, and he has a 3-time at random. Not my favorite champion out there. I'm going to give him an F. Jareg. He's been power crept quite a bit. He has an ally protection and increased defense on a 4-turn cooldown, a nice passive, and a decreased attack on his A1. And HP in all battles by 33%. Really nice aura there, too. He used to be, like, really, really, really good, and now I think he's serviceable. I'll give him a B. Venomage. Very unique champion. You got the damage reduction, you got the AoE heal reduction, you have the instant activation of poisons on the A1. Very good in a lot of different areas of the game. I use her in Nether Spider, but you can use her, gosh, anywhere you need a heal reduction or some instant activation. I will give her a A+. Basilisk. Well, pretty basic kit here. He has a stun on the A2. He has a block damage before a fatal hit and an AoE, a hard-hitting AoE on his A1. He could be a nice stun set champion or a nice just damage dealer for progression in wave content. Still very niche, you know. I'll give him a
face.
There is that one rotation he can solo Amos too. Why am I hemming and hawing so much on this dude? Oh God. I'll give him a B-. I have a soft spot for him. Aox the Rememberer. Really nice passive. Increase the duration of 2 random debuffs on the attacker 1 turn when attacked. Very, very nice there. He has poisons on his A1. Great for clan boss. He has a great heal. And he brings the essential debuffs on a 3-turn cooldown. A little bit conditional there. I like him. I don't like him, I don't think, as much as some. I think some people would just be like S tier, no questions asked. I'll go A. Bloodlord. Has an ally protection on 1 ally. An AoE stun on a 3-turn cooldown. It's a 50% chance. 100%, or actually 85% if they're under decreased speed, which he has on his A1. If you can't tell, I kind of forgot what this guy does. Defense in all battles. This is one of those champions that I don't have experience with. I have him, but I haven't done a guide on him, and I haven't really used him much. He has a decent support kit, but nothing that jumps out the page at me. I'll give him a C+. Is it Brood Lord? Excuse me. Ziichi. She's a Doom Tower normal champion. She deals a lot of damage. Extra turn, self-buffing, but yeah, she doesn't do it for me, especially when you get her. I'm going to give her a C-, I guess. That's being kind, I feel like. Drake, extra turn if the target is killed. Yeah, that's not what it used to be. I'm going to give him a F. Jizzo, just did a whole video on Jizzo. Really elite. Mischief tank and a decay provoker for Hydra clan boss. He has a provoke on a 4-turn cooldown, right? It's a 2-turn provoke, and he has a counterattack on himself with an extra turn, which helps us get back to it sooner. So incredibly niche for Magma Dragon for Hydra, but not trash. Tanky too. I'll give him a B-. Quagrin the Crowned has a perfect veil and an increased attack for 2 turns on allies whose attack is higher than their defense, or a conditional block debuff and an increased defense on defense higher than attack. I hate the if-thens. I just like to depend on something, especially with the perfect veil. I just want it on everybody. So that's kind of a bummer. He does have a shield and a heal, though. He's not useless, but he's just not my favorite champion. I'll give him a C+. Delaja, AoE decrease attack, continuous heal, and a shield. I mean, she's bringing some survivability to your team. If that's what you need, then she's going to be solid. If it's not what you need, you're not going to need her, right? Obviously. What is her passive? Counterattacking when an ally lizardmen except this champion are attacked. Good for faction wars, I would say. I'll give her a B-. Broadmaw, permanent fusion inside the game. He got a big buff about a year or 2 ago. 2 random revive on a 4-turn cooldown with block damage, and the weak version of increased speed, increased crit rate, and a turn meter fill on a 3-turn cooldown. Not a bad reviver, certainly great for faction wars. I'll give him a B-. Skathix has a cleanse on a 4-turn cooldown. He has a block damage on himself, some self-sustainability, and some buff steal on the A2. He also has the decreased speed. I don't know, good for Iron Twins. Good for some niche areas of the game. Pretty good for wave content. I'll give him a B-. Silizix Stripehide has an AoE and a single target, excuse me. But if I'm before attacking, he's placing the extra damage buffs on himself. Problem with Silizix is the damage just isn't really there, despite the ratings. I tried him out, and I'm like, I don't know why these people love him so much. I don't know. I guess I just disagree on this one. He does have stacking damage okay, so if you kill enemies, he can get a little bit better. I don't have enough experience, I guess, with him, but personally, he doesn't blow me away. Just kind of a damage dealer. I'll give him a I don't know. I'll give him a C+. All right, Skinwalker time. Did I do? Yes. All right, we have Taurus. 4 poisons on an AoE, right? So the best AoE poisoner out there, you are sacrificing his HP, but he has an unkillable at the same time. He also has a single target weaken. Great poisoner. I'll give him a B. Flesh Terror is definitely unique. He has the increased duration of all ally buffs, and then he has the decreased duration of enemy buffs, increased duration of enemy debuffs as well, or decreased enemy buffs. You guys know what I'm saying. It's a 4-turn cooldown, though. That's the downside. I'll give him a C-. If there were both 3-turn cooldowns, I think he could be a sneaky champion to help you out, but maybe even a D+. You just like, sure, it's nice to have all that in one kit, but I mean, Mikage has that all in one skill. His whole kit in one skill on a 3-turn instead. Granted, it's a mythical, but still. Scavrius, an AoE leech and a single target weaken. Increase attack on this champion. He can deal some damage, though, if I remember correctly on this guy. He can deal some sneaky damage. And poisons, I would say he's pretty good for, like, Demon Lord, just, like, damage dealer. But outside of that, he's never been, like, a game changer to me. I'll give him a B-. Ripper. Ripper has a ignore 50% enemy defense. And that's cool. You can basically ignore 100% defense off this dude, but that's about it. Multipliers aren't out of this world. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give him a D. Rain Beast, F. I really hate this guy. He's not killing anybody with this ability. He revives a random ally if he kills somebody, and then, you know, puts a shield on an attacked ally on a 2-turn cooldown. Really trash champion. Snorting Thug has a ignore 100% defense ability, stealing buff from the target, but that's it, really, that's it. If you're looking for a hard hitter on a single target, you know, damage, then look no further. But who's really looking for that? It's not going to serve you any practical utility outside of seeing the 100% ignore defense numbers. I'll give him a D. Yaga, F. He deals single target poison. Good for clan boss, but he requires 1,000,000 books. You get him for free. He's a trap. F. Ursian Ice Crusher, F. An AoE decreased crit rate. That's a tiny eensy weensy bit of turn meter, decrease the damage, excuse me, and fill turn meter of him by 5% when an enemy lands a hit. Nah, it's a useless kit in my opinion. You know, even the decreased crit rate, like, it's not a useless debuff, but to that be the highlight of his entire kit, no thank you. So F on Ice Crusher. On Ironhide though, I like him a lot more. He can deal some decent damage on his AoE, and he has a decreased attack at 100% land rate. It is a 4-turn cooldown. He does have a chance of increasing the cooldown of the target skills on his A1 and some turn meter on his passive. He's a lot better than the White Bear, in my opinion. I will give him a C-. Horafees the Tusk, a reviver, hallelujah, in Skinwalkers, and an increased attack, increased crit rate on a 3-turn cooldown. Very nice and necessary, needed reviver in Skinwalkers from the epic category. I'll give him a B+. Steel Skull has an increased defense and a heal, as well as a cleanse and another heal. He brings poison on his A1. He used to be a clan boss goat back in the day. He's certainly used a lot less, but he's still a decent support champion. It's not ideal when it's a 4-turn cooldown. I'll give him a B-. Fane, man, if you can keep her alive, she's a great damage dealer and debuffer for clan boss. Poison, decreased attack, weaken, and decreased defense. She brings it all. A lot of hits here, stealing some turn meter too. You can use her in like Fire Knight in areas like that with a triple hitter on the A3. Again, provided you can keep her alive. She's a little bit niche, but she's fun. I'll give her and she has the highest attack out of any epic in the game at 1663. I'll give her a A-. I'm feeling kind. Bovos Sharphorn, an AoE, decreased crit rate, decreased crit damage, and then a 1 random buff, and then the inverse on a 4-turn cooldown. I don't really love these champions that their whole kit is increased, decreased crit rate, crit damage. It's just not although it can be nice, it's not a game changer enough. I mean, champions like Archmage Helmet just have that as a throw-in, or a Mausoleum Mage on one of their skills. So Bovos, I'm not really interested in. I'll give him a D. Both the Rancid, he's the current fusion epic. He has an AoE decrease accuracy, increase the duration of all ally buffs on a 3-turn cooldown. He also has a 2 debuff cleanse and a heal and an increased accuracy. People are really hating on this dude. Look at those grades, man. But he's like, I mean, you've seen, we've gone over 100 epics by now. I think he's a lot better than a lot of people, a lot of other of these epics, you know? Is he the best in the game? No, but I would give him his HP in all battles too. I don't know, I would give this dude a B. Basher can deal some damage, increase the cooldown on all the target skills. The Alika, same move, basically. Higher base attack at 1498, does a lot of damage too, not more damage necessarily. He has this block buffs ability, which is, it's hard to be reliable, right? Okay for wave content. So a little bit of damage in the lockout there. I'll give him I'll give Basher a B-. Akemptum, I think Akemptum is S tier. Right? He's one of the best Hex appliers, if not the best, inside the entire game. He has a triple hitter on a 3-turn cooldown with Hex, and then Hex extension, and then he's counterattacking with poisons as well, with a triple hitter on the A1, triple hitter on the AoE. Great for Fire Knight, great for like any wave content, Hydra, anywhere that you want to land Hex. He also brings speed in all battles. Worrigan Suncursed, hate this dude. Triple hitter, and then swap with an enemy HP extra turn mechanic. Man, I thought he was so unnecessary to be added to the game. I wouldn't advise anybody invest in him. I'll give him a D. Frenzy the Cackler, pretty cool champion. She's 100% AoE provoke on a 4-turn cooldown, increased defense on herself, and then burn as well on the A2 on a 3-turn cooldown. Not too bad. She has instant activation on the A1 as well, albeit a 50% chance. She's not my favorite, but she certainly can deal a lot of damage. Good control, you know, kind of a nice like full package for progression in any of the areas that you may need. I'll give her a B. All right, moving right on to the Orcs, guys. Making pretty good time, I'd say. Ultimate Galek. He is, I don't love him. I want the guaranteed burn. I don't like the conditionality on this dude. I never have. I know some of you guys are a fan, but I give him a D. Sorry. Duck the Pierce, really underrated. 3-turn cooldown with the decreased attack and decreased defense. Very, very good. He does need to have a critical hit there, so there is some conditionality in there. But then he has a provoke, albeit a very limited one. Really good. He's defense based, easy to keep alive. I'll give him a A-. Old Hermit Jorg, he's the 2 reviver. You'll notice that most of these epics factions have a revive 2 random allies. Well, Old Hermit Jorg is there for the Orcs. He also brings an increased attack and turn meter fill, as well as a burn on his A1, which is really nice. I'll give him an A-. Tagore, S tier. He is one of my favorite epics in the game. You guys already know that. I have a download link if you want to check it out. You get a free Tagore on new accounts. He has an increased speed. He has a heal based on his max HP. He has an AoE attack with a decent base attack for a support champion. He has a solid revive. He has an increased defense for 2 turns on the ally with lowest HP and damage mitigation. S tier. Maruka. She has a cleanse and a heal on a target ally. I don't love that. And a revive on death on all allies. It's a pretty bad kit. I'll give her a D+. Torture Helm. You could do some fun things with this dude. HP, damage according to his HP, and it increases the number based on the number of dead allies. It's a single target damage, you know, nuke at the end of the day. He's just annoying to go against because he's always reviving himself, but not much utility nowadays outside of just having fun with him. So I'll give him a D. Zargala, triple hitter, 4-turn cooldown, decreased defense, and the instant activation. She can still deal a lot of damage, especially with epic empowerment. I'll give her a B+. Bloodfeather is not my favorite. She has a decreased defense on 1 target and then another 1 target. D. She can deal some damage, but to me, single target damage dealers, and that's all they really do, I'm going to be giving a lot of Ds out. Bonekeeper. Well, speaking of which, she can hit really hard. She really can. Good multipliers, very high base attack, but like I just said, I'm underwhelmed. C-, D. Shaman has a revive, single target. It's kind of an old school revive. It's not that good anymore. You know, you get her in the very beginning. You can use her as a reviver at level 50, but that's about it in my opinion. I'll give her a C-. Terror Beast is really, really bad. I'll give him a D. F. Vrask, he's still a good healer, but he's super one-dimensional heals, kind of the woad painted of Orcs, right? That's about it. You're getting some heals, some survivability, and a decent defense dungeon aura. Well, good defensive dungeon aura. I'll give him a B-. I think he's good for progression still, but falling off from back in the day when he was like the GOAT. Sandlash Survivor has an increased duration ability and a really nice passive with an ally protection to block damage on herself, keeping her alive and mitigating damage from your allies. She also brings the defense in all battles. Aura, good for like clan boss progression or faction wars, or on a buff extension team. I'll give her a B. I'll give her a B. No, not bad for the arena too, like back in the day. She's fallen off a little bit, maybe a B-. Yellen Gurnia, kind of like Candlehead a little bit, right? But I think she's worse than Candlehead. She's an attack-based champion. She does have an AoE decreased attack, which is not bad, and then a single target block buffs. It's always critical, and it deals decent amount of damage on Sword of Lost too, but that's about it. I'll give her a... she has a revive every time she kills an enemy, which is kind of nice. 50% HP too. I'll give her a B-. Trumbor, an AoE remove a random debuff from all allies before attacking. Okay. Ally protection and an increased defense on him on a 4-turn cooldown. I don't know. He has kind of a neat little passive, but overall kind of underwhelming. I'll give him a D+. Seer, S tier. I mean, Karma Burn's still one of the best abilities inside the entire game. The best time-saving ability inside the entire game. Still a staple of so many thousands, if not millions of teams out there. Tuok the Wanderer is also an Amazon Prime champion or Battle Pass, I think Amazon Prime. AoE decreased speed, a lot of damage. He has a 2-turn stun. He's stealing 100% turn meter. This guy is very, very underrated. Squishy, but underrated. Nice damage too. I've always been a big fan of Tuok the Wanderer. I'll give him a B. Tolth the Maimed, hate him. Single target. He increases or decreases the value of enemy shields. Who cares, man? I think Tolth is F. I would love to see a buff for him. Liburga is one-dimensional. She's increasing duration of poisons when she's attacked. She's bringing 2 poisons, poison sensitivity, and increased attack, increased defense on a 4-turn. Really, she's great for clan boss and good for dragon and not much else. She's also a Doom Tower champion, so it kind of it's not really worth the wait in my opinion. I'll give her a... I don't know. She's kind of like the Narma of Epic. She's really good in one area, but still not used in that area. I'll give her a D. All right, moving on to Demonspawn. We have Allure. Allure still got it, man. This control ability out of this A1 is still nasty. It's still very, very good. On the AoE ×2, you can actually use Nature's Bounty, the newish rare blessing, and get this upgraded to an increase, a big version of increased defense, which always kind of bothered me that she didn't have the big version. Doesn't deal a lot of damage, but just this Psychic Whip alone is really good. Dark Fae, Fire Knight, I'll give her an A tier. Excruciator. She's never been my favorite. She's an attack-based single target damage dealer. You guys know how I feel about that. I'll give her a D. Akoth the Seared is a burner for Spider, and that's about it. You get him in because the burn needs to be a lot of enemies alive for the chance to go up. You get him in Doom Tower normal. I'll give him a oh gosh, I'll give him a, as I take a sip of water, intermission here, guys, I'll give him a B-. Vildrax, great AoE Hex. You do need to book it for the Hex, but you don't need to book it for the cooldown, which is nice. He has another AoE where he's increasing the duration, which obviously will be great with the Hex. Increase that duration and put their skills on cooldown. Great for wave content as well. He's a good Hex applier. A little one-dimensional, but, you know, solid. He can deal a little bit of damage, too, even for a support champion. It is based off attack, and his attack is very low, but if you put, like, an attack ring... but look at those books, man. Look at those books. Those have the leech, too. Gosh. The books really make it pretty underwhelming for me, honestly. But if you're really looking for Hex and you don't have, like, an Akemptum or something like that, or Thylesia, go ahead and invest in Vildrax. I'll give him a C+. Scion... no damage. He does have an AoE on a 3-turn cooldown. He's bringing the buffs after he attacks. F just for that. That's baloney, man. Why do we want the buffs for 1 turn after he attacks? So stupid. Erinus, an AoE, increase the duration of all debuffs. Not a bad ability, is a 4-turn cooldown. 1 target block buffs. Never been my favorite. She has a poison on the A1. Okay for like clan boss. I'll give her a D. Soul Drinker is kind of a cool bomb champion. He has a 3-time at random decreasing bomb detonation. He does have an AoE bomb, 100%, but it's a 3-turn detonation. That's a long time. The problem with detonation is we want it really low on any bomb champion because 3 turns, like, they're going to have a way to cleanse it off in 3 turns, right? So yeah, we can reduce it, but the real cool part of it is places 2 bomb debuffs on each enemy for 2 turns when he dies. So you can do some fun things with like him and Gaius the Gleeful, but you know, he does some nice damage too, even outside with an AoE ×2 hitter on a 3-turn cooldown. But still, I'm talking myself into this dude. I used to love him, but it's hard to say there's a lot of utility you can get out of him outside of PvE wave content where you know there's not a cleanser. I'm going to give him a C-, sentimentality there. Nizana is an ally protector who also has an AoE on the A1, so she can be good in a stun set. She also has an AoE with decreased attack, so very good in a stun set. She feels weird to be a protector. She doesn't feel like an ally protector. She's not like Not super squishy, but 1,000 base defense, 21k. She's tough to keep alive when you use that A2, but just the A1 and the A3 in a stun set is nice with damage mitigation as well. I'll give her a C+. Infernal Baroness, AoE, AoE, and then Veil. She also brings decreased attack. I'll give her a C+ as well. Good for Faction Wars, good for control, wave content. Tanix, everybody hates her, but I don't. She's not great, but I give her a C-. She can be a competent healer and an AoE decreased speed champion for Faction Wars specifically. She has a little tiny bit of damage mitigation as well, and she's free for everybody. Abstract the Wendrum, when you pair him with a burner, this Twisted Hunger just goes off against Spider. It's a thing to see. It's really, really fun. Outside of that, he has an AoE freeze or an HP burn. He has a block debuff and a strengthen. I like this guy. I use him a lot on my mini account, but you know, I'll give him a B. I'll give him a B. I think he's a solid all-around champion. Hellgazer. She can deal some damage. She has an extra turn mechanic, but to me, she doesn't get it done. As I said, like the damage isn't bad on her, but she's kind of one-dimensional in that regard. I'll give her a D. Tarshan has an increased defense and a turn meter fill on a 4-turn cooldown, pretty solid, and an AoE weaken on a 3-turn cooldown. I like Tarshan. I don't love him. I like him. Strengthen on himself as well. I'll give him an A-. A high grade, but I think that he's like, he brings a lot to the table. Turn meter, increased defense, decrease, an AoE weaken as well. Gorlos, really good damage dealer, underrated damage dealer, and a decreased defense champion. And he has a burn and a decreased accuracy for 3 turns on this A3 ability that hits very hard. Very good champion. I'll give him a, did I say A-? Maybe I was a little crazy there. B+, A- on Gorlos instead. Magnar, S tier. He's my favorite epic nuker in the game, guys. Percussive Pound is hit so freaking hard. He also has a debuff spread. He also has defense in Doom Towers. He has a decreased defense on his A1. I love Magnar. Tanky, tons of damage. Tons of damage. Out damages a lot of my legendaries. Dur the Hunger is the Revive 2 random ally in this faction. He was a great addition to the game. He also brings a reflect damage and a continuous heal and a heal, all on a 3-turn cooldown. We'll give him a B+. Urticata is a poison champion. She has poison sensitivity and more poisons and hex, as well as more increased duration of poisons on the A1. It requires about 150 books. She's kind of like a very nice passive here. She's placing more poisons based on hexes. She's like the companion bug to Vildrax. Very one-dimensional to me for Dragon and Clan Boss, specifically Clan Boss. I'll give her a, she does have all battle speed. Good Clan Boss progression champion. We'll give her a C+. Padma, AoE decrease accuracy, 50%, Appropriate is one of the hardest hitting defensive abilities in the game. A lot of people don't know that unless you're an old school player. So that's cool. You know, you're removing buffs from the target as well, and you're basically stealing them. But I don't know, still kind of underwhelming even despite the damage there. I'll give her a C+. Umbral. At least Umbral does something like super unique. The 2-turn provoke and the block buffs for 3 turns. She can get a lot of damage out of her, a lot of control, and a lot of, well, block buffs, right? I love her. I'm gonna give her an A-. Skimfos the Consumed, a great AoE decrease attack. He's basically transferring CC debuffs all over the place, first to him and then to the enemy. He's stealing 100% turn meter as well. Great for Dark Fae, great for Fire Knight as well. 2-time hitter, not bad with a decreased speed, turn meter depletion. We'll give Skimfos a B+. B+. I like Skimfos. All right. Undead Horde. Gorgorab. The poor man's arbiter, right? He has an AoE revive. He has an increased attack and a turn meter fill. He really is a poor man's reviver. He has a speed aura in arena battles. He's fallen off a little bit throughout the years, but he's still not a trash champion. If you're looking for a reviver who can be a great arena lead for you as well, look no further, especially in the early game or in Faction Wars and progression. We'll give Gorgorab a B. Seeker, getting used a lot less with Wixwell being inside the game. But for those people who didn't go for Wixwell, I'm sure you still use a lot of Bat Eater compositions. He has the best turn meter filler for any epic in the game. Why? He has a 30% turn meter fill, but the extra turn allows you to basically, ostensibly, this is a 2-turn cooldown, right? So a really good turn meter filler, a good go second arena champion as well. Has a provoke on the A1. I'll give Seeker A tier. Catacomb Counselor is my second favorite ally attacker out of every epic in the game. 3 random allies using their default skills. He'll even join in the attack, so arguably even better for Fire Knight than Fat Man. He also has an increased attack on himself. He hits decently hard and a triple hitter on the A2. So yeah, with that triple hitter, I would definitely say he is better than Fat Man. I would say just for Fire Knight. Let's not get too carried away. Underrated champion. Good base attack too. Solid multipliers. Dark Aethel, Catacomb, we'll give him an A-. I think people sleep on him. Dark Aethel. AoE decreased speed and the 4-turn cooldown, 75% land rate. You can get a little utility out of her. She's one of my most underwhelming daily logins. I'll give her a C-. Dark Elaine has a Death Majesty, one of the hardest hitting attack-based nukes out of epics out there, which is saying a lot because 1365 base attack is not much, but great against Frostbiter, against Torments in the arena, against anything, against Ice Golem. Anything that's going to freeze you, she'll remove it, she'll add a bunch of damage buffs, and then she'll instantly activate that A2. Very, very good. I think she's worth building for everybody. Everybody gets her for free as a daily login. I'll give her an A-. Husk, enemy max HP with the stun, as well as a provoke on the A1. Great for Hydra because of the provoke as well. Good damage, not quite as much damage as like a Royal Guard enemy max HP ability, but still in the ballpark. I'll give Husk an A. Karam. His claim to fame is he is a poison combustor, albeit single target, albeit 4-turn cooldown, but a poison combustor nonetheless. So great for Dragon, right? One-dimensional, but you know it's a pretty good dimension to have. I'll give him a B-. Lich. Very underwhelming, just like selfish buffs over here. And then one enemy, decreased turn meter and a decreased speed. It sounds good, but that's it. They're like, where are we using just this ability? Or why are we maxing this champion for one decent ability? Which, frankly, we can find abilities like this in other kits. I'll give a D. Hexia, another underwhelming. There's a lot of underwhelming Undead Hordes, unfortunately, here. One enemy, decreased speed, whatever. D. Defiled Sinner. Defiled Sinner is really cool. Because his damage increases based on the enemies alive. So really cool for Spider. He can do some nasty things in Spider normal dungeon, but he does tail off after that. I'll give him a D+. I want to be realistic here, right? I wouldn't invest personally.
Why not?
Corpse Collector, another underwhelming champion. 3-time at random on a 4-turn, an AoE heal reduction, decrease accuracy. You know, these are niche debuffs. They can be good to have in some situations, but I wouldn't invest in a very vague situational champion like Corpse Collector. D. Mausoleum Mage, S tier. One of my favorite epics in the game to this day. Increased defense, block debuffs, and an increased crit rate on a 3-turn cooldown, and a cleanse, and a heal, and turn meter fill, and a decreased speed on the A1. He brings so many essential debuffs and support to the table, all in one package. Nice speed, nice to pair with Seer too. A lot of utility, great for progression, great where you need a cleanser, right? I'll give him what did I say? S? A+. Zelota. Don't like him at all. Has a shield, continuous heal on a 4-turn cooldown. That doesn't excite me. We talked about Canoness on a 2-turn cooldown. An AoE on a 5-turn cooldown with a 75% chance of placing a sleep. No, thank you. F. Vogoth. A+. Just one of the best, not just the best epic healer along with like Wood Painted and a Vrask and stuff like that, but like the utility you can get out of his heal always comes at the time where you need it the most, right? So it's not just having the best numbers, it's having the best timing, right? And that's what Vogoth has. Also an elite Fire Knight champion with a triple hitter, an elite wave killer with a provoke, and a decreased attack. Very good champion, S tier. Baltus Droglord, not a fan. AoE decreased crit rate champion. He does have a single target provoke on a 5-turn cooldown. D. Anax, a lot of damage, poison, decreased accuracy, and a weaken with some survivability. He's very niche. He decreased defense on the A1. He's kind of similar to Fane in some ways. Maybe like a little bit weaker version of a Fane. Good for clan boss. Not a lot of extra utility beyond that, but at least he's bringing so many essential debuffs to the table. I'll give him a B minus. Oxtrox Bagosh. It's Ostrox Boneglaive. This guy's not too bad. He has an AoE with a block buff for 2 or 3 turns. Makes him a really competent block buff champion for Hydra Clan boss. Kind of like a Umbral, you know? He also has a remove a debuff from all allies and an increased accuracy on a 4-turn. Not trash. Very niche to kind of Hydra, a little bit of a situational. He doesn't feel worthy of Void to me. I'll give him a C+. Karfu the Death Keeper, kind of another new Void epic champion. He has removing a random debuff from allies and healing allies on an AoE, a defense based. Not bad. He is unkillable in a taunt on on this champion, so on himself. My bad. I wasn't sure if he was like ambassador on an ally. I have not played, as you can tell, any Kafru the Death Keeper personally. His kit does not blow me away though. He does have damage mitigation on the passive. What is this? Nekret's Guardian? Okay, cool. I like that he's Nekret's Guardian. I didn't know the lore there. I guess I could read it all, but we'd be here all day. Another 2 hours. I'll give him a B minus. No, C+. C+. He wasn't that good. Dark Elf time, guys. We're moving right along. Captain Tamilla. We've got to increase defense and a heal all allies. Not a bad ability on a 3-turn cooldown. You can't take that away from Captain Tamilla. It's a really solid one, right? Ally protection on a 4-turn. I feel like she's a good progression champion, but you're going to get better. You're going to get better pretty soon. So I think she's the type of champion you take to level 50 and you absolutely use for faction wars, maybe even book her out too. But other than that, you don't see her a lot in like the mid to the end game. I'll give her a B minus. Caden is the revive 2 random allies from Dark Elves. And he has an AoE decrease attack. I really like Caden a lot. 100% decrease attack on an AoE with the revive, a provoke on the A1, albeit a small chance. I'll give him a B+. Dark Kale S tier. Dark Kale is probably one of the best, the best poison and HP burn adjacent champion, I guess. He activates, but he doesn't do anything else regarding that. Out of all epics in the game, he has an AoE, increased duration of debuffs, a decreased attack. He's bringing poison sensitivity. He's mitigating critical damage. He's a champion that everybody can get access to. Very, very good champion. S tier. Gwyneth. AoE that doesn't trigger counterattacks. Very good for Tarsa Marichka waves. Soul Cross, namely. Other than that, kind of a niche champion. Doesn't do as much damage as I was hoping for on these abilities. She's a Doom Tower champion. I'll give her a good for stun set too. I don't know. I'll give her a B minus. Spider. Spider does have an AoE decreased defense in a weak version of Weaken. It's on a 5-turn cooldown. I've never been a huge fan of Spider, but you know, he's got the goods if you need that debuff and you're lacking on your account. Otherwise, let's say C minus. Durandil is a big boy nuker. He's just doing damage, but he's doing a lot of it. One of my favorite nukers actually out of all epics, attack-based in the game. Dispatch Them just smacks. It hits so hard. Ignore defense there. I'm going to give him a B minus just for all that damage. Ryan has an underwhelming single target revive. She is removing all buffs from all enemies, which is very nice with the weaken. Kind of like a very similar to Madame Ceres's A3. It is a 3-turn cooldown though. It's a really nice A2 ability. I'll give her an A minus, maybe a B plus. Thurzak. Another one of those AoE decreased resistance champions. My bad. I actually forgot. It was not Thurzak because I was thinking that who is the AoE decreased crit rate champion in this faction? I guess we'll see in a moment. She has a triple hitter, removing a buff and an AoE decreased resistance on a 4-turn. Man, doesn't do anything. Doesn't do anything for me. I'm gonna give her a. I'm gonna give her a D. Krakarth F. She's the last champion you get from Doom Tower Secret Rooms, and she's trash. Luria. not bad. She's got a an AoE with a freeze, 75% on a 4-turn cooldown. Used to, for a long time, used to be the best epic freeze in the game. And then a hex that doesn't place hex, but it does remove buffs and do a lot of damage. Looking at her kit nowadays, though, I'm a little underwhelmed. A little power creep going on there for sure. I'm gonna give Luria, it's sad to say, but I'm gonna give her a C+. Crimson Helm has a 4-time at random provoke and a revive on death increased defense on a 4-turn. Again, a champion that actually used a lot back in the day, but she's been power crept for sure. A lot of defense, can serve some progression utility, faction war utility. Outside of that, I would not invest. Take her to 50 and be happy with what she gives you. We'll give her a C-. Warden, F. So many books for some weak version of increased defense on a 4-turn cooldown. A weak version of decreased attack. It's total trash. One of the worst epics in the game, in my opinion. F. Delver, most in need of a buff epic right there. Delver is a single target and an AoE increased attack and a decreased defense before attacking on a 4-turn. It's not dependable. It's 75%. Not a ton of damage is the problem with Delver. I'm going to give her a D. Fang Cleric is a reviver. Mediocre revive, but it is a 4-turn revive. And then we have a heal and a veil. Not a bad champion, honestly, guys. Pretty fast, too. 105 base speed. What does he have? Speed in all battles as well on the aura. Yeah, I'll give Fang Cleric a B-. Not a bad faction war reviver for sure. Visionary, that's the one I was thinking of. Not Thursak or whatever. AoE decreased crit rate and decreased crit damage. You guys know how I feel about this.
What is he talking about?
The inverse on the A3. She is better than some of the others. She does have a turn meter fill in there too, albeit 25%. It's weird. She's not like super trash, but it's hard to advise investing in Visionary. I'm gonna give her a C-. Lua has the AoE ×3 with turn meter fill. Actually heal, excuse me. That's a 3-turn cooldown. And then she has a decreased target's turn meter by 100%. Lucky Shot can hit pretty hard, but in a weird way, she's like, I don't know, I kind of prefer Cold Heart, who's a Void Rare. She's not trash, though. I would give Lua kind of spider progression type champion as well. I'll give her a B-. Sylar. Now this is a champion. Sylar, she's bringing a lot to the table. An AoE on the A1, the decreased accuracy, decreased speed, and turn meter reduction by 40%. Great for spiders, great for waves. Just a really good all-around control champion, and dang, she's looking good too there, Sylar. We'll give her a, I'm gonna give her an A-. Really big fan of Sylar. Madame Ceres, a great A2 where she's stealing buffs. She's putting block debuffs. If buffs are stole, she's removing buffs. She's shielding herself and putting fears on her passive. Sure, she's not used as much in the arena because of polymorph, but still, really good champion. One of my favorite Halloween champions ever added to the game. Look at how awesome she looks, guys. What a champ, huh? I think A+. All right, moving on to Knights Revenant. We have Crypt Witch. Oh, Crypt Witch. Hater. She can deal some damage. She can deal some damage on not so fast, but she has to be higher speed than them. F tier. Sorry. Pitiless One. AoE that you know, he got a buff kind of recently, a year ago or whatever, but just an AoE, really. That's what he's got going on. D. Necro Hunter, another one. Just super underwhelming. D. Miscreated. There we go. Same update as Madame Ceres, and we love him. An AoE stun, ally protection, decreased defense. Fear is on his passive. This synergizes with whenever the allies are getting hit with the ally protect. And hell, this guy's part of my intro, so I have a massive bias towards Frank. I love this dude. He used to be God tier, now maybe a tick below. I'm gonna give him an A. Feralis Gravedirt has a strengthen on a 3-turn cooldown and a shield. It's not a bad ability here, honestly, guys. The rest of his kit, meh. Fear reduction on an AoE, immune to fear and true fear, whatever. Very slow, but could serve some utility with that A3 for sure in faction war progression content. I'm going to give him a C-. Ashma, really don't like her. She has an AoE weaken, which is nice, but I don't know, man. It's weird because you read her kit. I gave Andral, for whatever the heck his name is from Bannerlords at the top of the video, I gave him a pretty good score. like a C plus or something. But Aishma, I invested in her. I was like, man, it's she's pretty. She feels really bad. I'm gonna give her a C minus. Senesha. Well, she's got one of the best heals in the game. She's got another heal, a block out on the, or lockout on the enemy, and then the AoE with the Senesha Skull Crown kind of dynamic duo on the A1. Great for kind of blender comps and stun set as well. Great healer. She brings so much to the table. She's very, very good. I'm gonna give her A plus. Doom Priest. You know how much I love the bolster. You get heals and a cleanse. You also get increased attack. Very, very simple kit, but still super effective. A plus. Suppature Sentinel. I think she's actually fallen off a little bit. Hate me if you want to. I pulled her on my mini account. I invested in her. I'm like, I don't think I even need this champion. A 4-turn block debuffs and an increased defense. It's good. But we can just do better nowadays. We're really looking for a 3-turn. We're really looking for a 3-turn. She has decreased attack on the A1, and then she has untouched by death. Still solid for progression. Still not trash for clan boss. I'm not saying she's trash. I'm just saying she wasn't as good as she was when she was released, which you could say about a lot of these champions, right? Don't mean to pick on her. I'm gonna give her a B minus, C plus kind of area. Retrodrath, I love, right? One of the better healers out there for Epic. Super fast, good revive, perfect veil on an AoE. Not that many champions in the game that have that. Only like 7, including legendaries and mythicals. Very good. Heals, decreased attack, A plus. Thylesia, AoE decreased defense, and a hex on the passive, and increased duration of all debuffs on all enemies. Can deal some nice damage, a nice debuffer. Very squishy on the HP, 12k. That's tough. That's tough. But still, you know, if you can keep her alive, she's pretty solid. I'll give her a minus. Lady Erish, you get her for free at like 500 days or something like that. She self-buffs and does a decent AoE, but for me, it's not enough. I'm gonna give her a D plus. Deathless. I took some heat for saying this in my last video or a couple videos ago. I don't know the release order here, but I've never been a Deathless fan. Sure, you can have fun with Deathless, but it's not dependable. I would not advise, unless you want to have some fun and have all your allies die to do damage, I would not invest. I'm going to give her a F. Sorry, guys. Kitus. Similar to Deathless, you can do some awesome things with Kitus, but it's very niche, right? You need him to have a lot of, or a very, very low HP to unlock the secret skill. So I've never been a huge fan. Again, fun champion, but fun doesn't always equate to good. D. Bergoth the Malformed. He has a little mini Vogoth on the passive. He has a provoke on an AoE, albeit a 60% provoke on a 4-turn. Not my favorite. I'll give him a C minus. Pestilus has an increased accuracy, increased crit damage on all allies on a 3-turn cooldown. Not bad. And then a single target burn with a heal. I don't know. 2-time at random with a leech too. Just not my favorite personally. He is tanky, easy to keep alive, can be good for progression, good at level 50. I would say C. Franox. I did a video on her. She has the highest multiplier in the game for epics, or in the game period, at 9.2. Multiplier on this ability, provided the opponent has no buffs. But that's about it. She's not a good champion, but you can deal some insane damage with the Tender Mercies. For that alone, I'll give her a C minus. Malekith Bloodflocked is the random 2 reviver in the Knights Revenant faction. He's actually really good though. He has a random 2 revive, then he has an AoE increased duration and increased duration of buffs and decrease enemy debuffs, increase ally buffs. Why is that so hard to get out? He's also stealing buffs from the A1. He's one of my favorite 2-time revivers out there. I'm going to give him a B+. Faceless has 100% ignore defense ability right here on Ice Bolt on a 3-turn cooldown. That being said, limited viability outside of that. Can deal a lot of damage, both A2 and A3. Ignoring shield block damage, 100% defense, like I said. But, you know, single target damage dealer, right? I'm going to give him a C+. Skull Crown. AoE, AoE, damage, speed or a lead, unkillable. What else do you want from a champion? I still love Skullcrown in a stun set for control or just damage in the arena or elsewhere, blender comp, you name it. I'm going to give her an A+. Maybe I'm biased, I love her. Golden Reaper has an increased speed and turn meter boost on a 3-turn cooldown. A little tiny bit better than like an Apothecary or a High Katoon, for example. It's a nice ability and she's very fast, 111 base speed. She has an AoE decrease attack as well and a little bit of lockout potential on the A1. I think she's underrated, but she's not... You know, it's not S tier or anything like that. I would give her a B. I would give her a B. Whisper, oof. Just one of the best damage dealers out of any epic in the game, attack base, certainly, right? She's bringing her own buffs, which is fantastic. She has extra turn mechanics all over the place. Great for Hydra, just great for dealing damage anywhere. She's one of my personal favorite damage dealers for epic. She can contend with like legendary attack-based damage dealers. Very, very good. I'm going to give her an A tier. All right, moving right along to the Dwarves, guys. Grizzled Jarl, he brings the increased defense and the block debuffs on a 3-turn cooldown. That's still useful. 3-turn cooldown. Sign me up. An AoE decrease attack on a 4-turn as well. Very good for faction wars. Good for progression. Limited viability into the end game, obviously. I'm going to give him a B-. Cornelia has an AoE sleep, and she has a very, very interesting dynamic. She can solo some earlier stages. Maybe she can even do the hardest if you have like God tier gear or whatever, but she's very good against Baumel, various solo potential against some other Doom Tower bosses. I would recommend checking out YST's YouTube channel. He has a lot of stuff around Cornelia, but heck, even using her for a sleep champion in the arena can be effective. If you don't have like a Kymar, you can build her super fast. She's 109 base speed. I'm going to give her a B-. Filja. A lot of damage. She has fully depleting targets turn meter on the A2, and then she has turn meter fill on the A3 on a 3-turn cooldown. A lot of damage, a little one-dimensional, but yeah, she's a great nuker. We'll give her a B-. Damage, nice A2, but limited, you know, endgame viability beyond that. Rear guard sergeant, great for faction wars. Continuous heals and ally protection on a 3-turn cooldown with decreased attack and a heal on herself, which you're going to need because of the ally protection. One of the better supports out there for epic champions, even from an old school champion. She also brings HP, force HP in battles. Don't like that, but still, solid champion. Decreased defense on the A1 as well for a debuffer. Again, trails off a little bit in the end game, but I'm going to give her a B+. I think she's still very, very good. Geo, one of the best damage dealers in the game because of the Stone Guard passive, where he's reflecting damage back on enemies who have the burn that he placed. He also has a 3-turn burn, 3-turn weaken on a 3-turn cooldown. He's stealing buffs or removing buffs on the A2 and AoE on the A1. One of the best epics in the game, S tier. Firegun Isabel, another kind of Baumel specialist. She's got bombs. She's got AoE weaken as well. She's got extra turn potential here. Not a bad champion. I have not used her enough. I built her. I tried her in Baumel. I couldn't get her to work against the highest levels of Baumel personally. You know, I think she's cool, but I don't think she's, you know, my impression is she's not like insane, you know. I think this is about right. I would give her a B-. Rockbreaker. I love Rockbreaker. He's an AoE provoker with a counterattack on a 3-turn cooldown. It's nice to see the AoE provoke on a 3-turn, 100% placing the provoke as well. He can block out some damage. Very good against the red boss in Faction Wars. He has defense in Arena, which is useless. But hey, overall, he's super slow, but a really solid provoker, right? I like Rockbreaker. He was a big game changer for me clearing Faction Wars. So I'll give him a, I don't know, I'll give him a B. Melga is a Revive 2 in the Dwarf faction. She has a shield and a Revive 2. She also has another shield and a continuous heal on a 3-turn cooldown. Not a bad support champion. Really nice to have a Reviver in the epic category here for the Dwarves. When she was released, I think she was the only one. A lot of books, but still, I think she's solid. I'll give her a B-. Fodbor the Bard is kind of a progression / faction war debuffer. He does have a chance of a stun. He has an AoE decreased defense, which is really nice, but it is a 4-turn cooldown. I think he's all right. I'll give Fodbor. It's nice to have the AoE decreased defense in this faction, you know, but outside of that, outside of Faction Wars, I'm gonna have to go with a C-, maybe even a D. But for Faction Wars, sure, use them. Morag, we love her. She does a lot of damage. She's the only epic in the game with the big version of Strengthen on a 3-turn cooldown, and she has an ally attack. Great for clan boss, great for almost anywhere, great for bosses in general. Ally attack is the standard. It's one of the most sought after abilities in the game. We love her. We'll give her a A+ on Morag. Runekeeper Dazdirk has a decent cleanse, brings a continuous heal if they have their debuffs removed, and a heal. This is a really, really nice ability here on the A3. He also brings increased attack and a nice, juicy 25% turn meter fill on a 3-turn cooldown. Underrated. I'll give him an A. Beardall Fellhammer, oof. He's not very good anymore. He has counterattack mechanics, single target. He's bringing decreased defense, 3-turn cooldown. He used to be okay for like clan boss. I think he's fallen off. I'm gonna give him a C-. Gala, love Gala. She's my favorite single target damage dealer out of any epic in the game, and I'm a little bit of a hypocrite because I talked smack about single target damage dealers, but Gala's built different. She was the only. Before before Mythicals were introduced to the game, she was the only epic that I saw finishing top plat still, you know? That's how much damage she can do, because she can go in and grant an extra turn if she has full HP after using her first ability with built-in ignore defense on the A3 and the A2. I'm going to give her a B+. Bit niche, but I love her for a single target damage dealer. Ragnar has a, increased attack, weaken on the target, a decreased defense. Clearly, I don't have a lot of experience with Ragnar, even though he's been around forever. I think he's fallen off a little bit too, unfortunately. We'll give him a, yeah, man. You guys tell me if you think I'm wrong, but gosh, he feels like a D to me. Demitha, S tier. One of the best supports out there for epics. Unkillable team or not, she's very good. Block damage, continuous heal, 3-turn cooldown, a great heal with buff extension, decreased debuffs. Gosh, she's really, really good. Defense in all battles on the aura as well. Again, one of the most sought after epic supports out there. Congratulations if you have her. All right, Taragi. Oh, the Frogman. I love me some Taragi, guys. Very, very good. He's one of the best ally. He probably has the best ally protect out of any epic in the game. It's a 3-turn cooldown. He brings a shield. He has reflect damage. He's healing as well. He has an AoE provoke, which is very good on a 3-turn cooldown. Chance can increase for each debuff on the enemy team, so it's easy to get that to 100. And then he has poisons on the passive as well. He's a lot of HP. Man, this guy does it all. He can solo content. He's great for clan boss. Taragi's super good. We're gonna give him A+. Hatatsu, really good champion. He has an AoE decrease attack, and then he has an increased defense and a continuous heal on a 3-turn cooldown with a leech on the A1. Defense in all battles. This guy's very, very solid. He's also cleansing CC debuffs from himself. I think he's an A. Very good. Shani. Very underwhelming champion. Poison sensitivity, burn, you know, increased duration on the AoE. Doesn't do any damage. For an attack-based champion with 1432, you'd hope for a little bit of damage at least. Not really. I don't really like her. She's a pretty cool passive, but I'll give her a C-. Maybe that's even being kind. Negorio, maybe after. For attack-based, nah, because there's Whisper and stuff too. But he's up there. He's my top 5 epic damage dealers. Very nice damage on the Faster of the Eye. A little bit one-dimensional, but still, I like him. You know, if you're going to be a one-dimensional attack-based nuker, at least bring the damage, and he does that. We'll give him a B-. Umatogi, really, really, really bad champion. Nothing here to say other than stay far, far away. An attack-based champion that doesn't do a lot of damage and single targets for days. We'll give her a D. Tome, Tomo, whatever. AoE decreased attack, not bad on a 3-turn cooldown. Counterattack on a target ally, which is kind of cool, but a lot of like Faction War synergy here as well with their passive. So Shadowkin, Faction Wars, definitely worth taking to 50. Outside of that, I would probably not. There are better options out there for decreased attack. So I will give her, she's all about Faction Wars. Faction Wars, B tier. Outside of that, F tier. Sashi. Really good AoE on the A1, great for a stun set. She has decreased crit rate and a leech, good for damage mitigation and healing, obviously. And then she has a great turn meter fill on a 3-turn cooldown on all allies. I'll give her a B+. Fenshi. S tier for Fire Knight normal, triple hitter decreased speed, triple hitter turn meter, and a double hitter with poison. Outside of that, pretty damn niche. So he's a very tough one to grade. I'm gonna give him a B-. Burengiri, an AoE stun on a 3-turn cooldown from a defense-based champion. He has a strengthen on a 4-turn cooldown and a shield, and then he has that heal whenever an ally or enemy dies, which makes him also able to solo Bommel. A little bit trickier than a Lady Annabelle. His stats don't scale quite as well in the HP as well, but he's really solid nonetheless with control, a lot to his kit. I'm gonna give him an A-. Kenichi has an AoE leech on a 4-turn. Okay. Ally protection, again, kind of like Nazana. She doesn't strike me as an ally protector. She does have a weaken on the A1. She has block damage a little. Thank God she does on the, but it's a 5-turn cooldown on her passive. She's just not my favorite. She's not going to be a protector that gets you a lot of utility outside of faction wars. So I'm going to give her a C-. Wuji, 10k base HP. Are you kidding me? Very tough to keep her alive. But if you can, when she counters, she brings counterattack on a 3-turn cooldown on herself and a Perfect Veil to help keep her alive, right? But she's counterattacking with a weaken on an AoE on her A1. I want to test her out in Hydra. I just need to get her in power because I need better stats on her. Till then, we're gonna give her a C. Siren has a weaken, single target, and an AoE decreased defense, but it's an 80%. It is nice to have the weaken and decreased defense though. So, hey, if you need both debuffs in one champion, you know, she's a viable option. She is kind of squishy on the HP as well. She has poisons on the A1, kind of a clan boss champion, really. We'll give her a C. Shinaru, I've never been blown away by her damage. She has a triple hitter, random weaken. She has an AoE. D tier. Gory has a 3-time freeze, and then he has an attack one enemy, ignoring, defense if they're under freeze. He has a counterattack, and an increased attack on this champion if you kill an enemy. I would love if that was not conditional because he has a freeze on his A1. He's actually pretty good for Fire Knight hard and faction war kind of progression. Outside of that, can't really advise using him. He's a decent damage dealer too. But yeah, for Fire Knight hard, if you can keep him alive, it could be a viable option for the turn meter decrease. Actually, I lied. No freeze on the A1, extra hit if they're under the freeze. So you're really counting on the A2 to be that turn meter manipulator. You want to have that off cooldown when the shield comes down, right? We'll give him a C+. Jujin, don't like him at all. I would stay far away. He has an ignore defense ability that ignores killable and block damage. He just doesn't do that much damage. And so who cares, right? I don't know. He's tanky. Great. We'll give him a D. Kinagashi is a reviver. Revives an ally. Not the best revive, but not the worst. Has an increased defense. And then she has a very weak ally attack, but a turn meter fill. You know what? People give her shade because it's only one ally joining the attack. But, we're also attacking with a decreased turn meter because we're joining the attack too, right? It's a 2-time hitter, so not too bad. And a turn meter fill on all allies. I think she gets a bad rap. I don't think she's as bad as people say she is. She's a very competent reviver for faction wars and kind of mid-game progression. I'll give her a B-. Masamoto, an AoE decrease attack at a 75% clip, defense based, and an increased defense and a turn meter fill on a 4-turn cooldown. Definitely overshadowed by a Hatatsu in this faction, but not trash. A lot of books though, golly. I'm gonna give a C+ on Masamoto. Aboro, one of the best damage dealers, especially for Hydra. You pair her with an ally attacker, she's gonna be AoE attacking every time against Hydra because there's 4 or more enemies alive. Very, very, very good. She's pretty squishy, but she does bring Perfect Veil as well. She's transferring debuff. She's buffing herself. Great damage dealer, specifically Hydra. I'm gonna give her an A. Genbo. I think Genbo's fallen off a little bit. We talked about a lot of great nukers here, and Genbo's certainly in the conversation, no doubt about it. But maybe his multipliers and his base attack are having a hard time keeping up with all the OP champions they're having every single week in the game. That's all to say. I still give Genbo, especially since he buffs himself and he's immune to decreased attack. Very nice, right? I still give him A tier. But I think I would have been tempted back in the day to go A+ or even S-. Taya is a secret room champion from Doom Tower. She has poisons, really nice, but she has instant activation on a 3-turn cooldown, so a lot better than like a Karim, who we referenced earlier. I think that she's good for, you know, instant activation on Dragon, basically, right? So she's very niche, but for that one thing, she's not that bad. If you're looking for a poison combustor by the time that you get her, you don't have one, she's going to serve you a lot of utility there. Overall, though, she's not going to be used that much outside of there. We'll give her a B+. Okay, last faction, guys, in just under 2 hours. Heck yeah, Cormac. I hate Cormac. I don't think he's a single target hitter with extra turn. Can deal a little bit of damage, single target. Doesn't do anything for me. D. Kellen the Shrike actually can deal quite a lot of damage here. He has an AoE, damage increases for each debuff on the target on a 4-turn. He has a 2-time hitter with turn. Look at this, 50% turn meter decrease and a big version decreased speed and a perfect veil to help keep him alive. Not a bad little champion. He's not going to scale end game damage, but man, he's really solid damage at that. That being said, right? And he's doing a little bit of manipulation too. Control, I should say. We'll give Kellen a B-. Lockwayne has an AoE Veil or Perfect Veil removal and a removal of another random buff from all enemies. Not the best ability, not the worst. Is that really it? Yeah, I'm super underwhelmed. Arena battles deals a little bit of damage, nothing crazy though. I'm gonna give him a C-. Nah, D. Cryoed in the blue. Now this is a champion. The old increased speed, turn meter 15%, like we talked about 5 times so far this video. Really good. He has it, 3-turn cooldown. Then he has one of the best freeze ability, the best AoE freeze ability for epics in the game. It's a 2-time hitter on 3-turn cooldown, 65% chance freeze on both hits. And he has a triple hitter with a 35 on each hit for freeze. That makes him one of the best control champions. An amazing buff for the team as well, and the best Fire Knight champion for hard by far out of every epic in the game. We're gonna give him a it's A+, tempted to go S. Duden, I'm gonna shock the world here. I think he is I'm so much higher than Duden than most people are. I'm gonna give him an A+. This cleanse is so good. 60% chance every time he uses his A1 of cleansing a debuff from allies, and he brings counterattack with a strengthen and a taunt. So he's always going to be counterattacking. He's always going to be cleansing allies, shielding them at the same time, taunting, increased duration of buffs on allies. Man, really good. If this was a 3-turn cooldown, I'd be tempted to go S tier on Duden. That's how high I am on him. I'm going to go A+. A+, if not S on Mistrider Dathi. Very good. Brings increased attack, increased accuracy, extra turn, extra turns all over his kit. Every skill has a chance of placing an extra turn. Decreased defense, very, very good. A+. Pan the Bowhorn. He's an interesting little champion here. He's all about having speed. He brings his own increased speed, increased attack. He actually has solid multipliers, does a lot of damage, but he's a bit one-dimensional, right? He does have True Fear, a weakened single target chance on his A3, triple hitter, 2-time hitter on the A1. Decent for Fire Knight kind of progression, I guess. He has freeze as well, so could maybe be used for Fire Knight hard if you could keep him alive. But, you know, not a game changer, but serviceable. Decent damage. We'll give him a C. Awkward Quivergrass. I don't know how to say her name. Awkward. She's an attack-based champion that doesn't deal a ton of damage, but she is removing debuffs from herself, a nice little cleanse, and removing a random buff from all enemies. Not all buffs, just a random buff. It's not a bad ability. I don't think she's a game changer personally. You know, kind of a weird. If you have no debuffs, you get extra accuracy. Kind of weird there. I'm going to give her a C-. Myceliac Priest Ornn is really solid. He has poisons on his A1. He has instant activation of poisons on a 3-turn cooldown on his A2. And then he has AoE poison and poison sensitivity on his A3 on a 3-turn cooldown. He's tanky too, so he can actually kind of solo some content with the instant activation or paired with other poison champions. He's definitely a very interesting and compelling and cool looking Sylvan Watcher epic champion. I will give him an A-. Ruella is a great Fire Knight progression champion, triple hitter, turn meter, triple hitter, decreased defense and weaken and decreased speed. It's really nice to have all 3 of those abilities, albeit on a 4-turn cooldown. And then we have okay, I wasn't sure if she had an extra turn. She doesn't. Turn meter fill and increased crit rate on all allies on a 3-turn. Not bad. Ruella is a really solid champion. Not in the category of like a Mishrider, in my opinion. But we'll give her a B+. Enda Moonbeam, 3-time at random and an AoE leech. Not the best. Well, not the worst, certainly not the best. How about that? Increased speed by 2 for each enemy under leech. Leech is useful, but I look at Enda as more of a kind of a faction war champion. You know, can deal some nice damage though as well, but hard to outside of faction order progression for me to advise people max him out. I'll give him a B-, C+. We're in the Silken, again, kind of a faction war champion. Speed and faction crypts, it says it right there, right? Increased speed, turn meter fill, but it's a 4-turn cooldown, right? It's not desirable, but it's still nice to have, especially in faction wars. Single target revive too. So again, not the strongest reviver, but a reviver nonetheless. We'll give her a C+, B- territory. White Dryad Naya, so unique, so good. AoE decreased speed, defense based, resetting cooldown of the target skills by 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown with a cleanse and a heal. Makes her exceptionally good for getting more out of the best damage dealers or champions or reset champions on your team. I just did a whole video on her if you want to check it out. She also brings an ally protection and a strengthen on a 3-turn cooldown. Very, very good champion, specifically Hydra. You know, getting that decreased speed out there is very good. Same A1 as a Christ, for example. Very, very good champion. We'll give her an A. We'll give her an A. Ayala Lifeblade. Well, Life Braid, excuse me. She has a chance of getting an extra turn on this champion or an ally every active skill use. However, it is on a 1-turn cooldown. She can only do it once per turn that she has, you know? I got excited when I first read that, but you know, it's really hard to pull it off, you know, or consistently. And it's only a 12% chance, you know. It could be a game changer when it happens, but it's just so RNG laden. She does bring block debuffs and a heal, which is nice. It is on a 4-turn cooldown. She's not trash, but I give her kind of a B-. Wow, people love her. Sand Devils, it makes sense. Faction Wars, Hydra. I don't know. I didn't expect her reviews to be that high. Maybe I'm wrong on her. I don't know. I've tried her out, but it's just like, again, I guess it's a personal taste. I don't love the RNG. But anyway, guys, that's it. Every epic has been reviewed. Thank you for watching all the way till the end of the video. Let me know on champions you agree with, champions you disagree with. Let me have it in the comments below. Much love. And as always, take care, guys.